In contrast to the tradition of artists working within a consistent visual style, my studio work embraces a visual diversity that is directed instead by an expanding idea. My work shifts from the size of postage stamps to over 20 feet. The imagery ranges from scenic to digital abstraction, and the tone from silent to aggressive, and most recently, from painting to ceramic sculptures. Yet in each there is a common commitment. All of these works use various visual images and processes in an effort to investigate the question of how we know our culture and ourselves. My current work plays with concepts as diverse as op art and its implication that some knowledge may be a purely retinal experience, empiricism, that the source of knowledge is direct sensory input, introspection, memory, and others, including Eastern methods. I'll touch on just a couple of these, but keep in mind these are not in chronological order. These are all current and active bodies of work. Herman Melville's Moby Dick was an early influence for me, inspiring me to make works that highlight the importance of interpretive process. In Chapter 3 at the Spouter Inn, Ishmael encounters a very dark and heavily varnished painting that he has trouble seeing. He refers to it as a boggy, soggy, squitchy painting, truly enough to drive a nervous man distracted. After giving it some consideration and looking for what it represented and opening a window at the back of the inn for additional light, Ishmael finally recognized the image of a whale. This encounter, as well as the entire structure of Moby Dick, intensifies experiences through slow disclosures. This thinking led to a large body of paintings where I've repeatedly varnished images until they become very dark, glossy, and difficult to see. This slows down the disclosure of the image to the extent that viewers have to spend some time scanning, looking around and adjusting one's eyes to the darkness and moving to avoid reflections in order to discover the image within. Like Melville's whale, the images in these paintings lurk beneath the surface, requesting the viewers consider their assumptions about what constitutes knowledge and experience. Many of these paintings introduce intensely illuminated abstract shapes, symbols, and objects on top of the darkened, over-varnished image. Some areas are left unvarnished, and at times I'll clean the varnish off to reveal the bright and glowing underpainting. These elements, such as a swan's wing, a glowing frame in a museum, an empty plate, play with dichotomies of light and dark, conscious and unconscious, presence and absence. In all, they investigate the possibility of interpretive clarity. They're another way to ponder these questions of knowing and to consider if it's possible to see the world as illuminated by anything other than the headlights of our own neurology and cultures. Another series of paintings presents a different optical challenge for viewers. Whereas the dark varnished works use low contrast and glossy surfaces to slow down the disclosure of the imagery, my stripe paintings slow down the time it takes to see them by using high contrast and complex undulating forms. Some of these paintings remind us of the striped paintings of high modernism and the associated quest for transcendent purity through formal abstraction. By contrast, my works playfully suggest barcodes and the flat-footed interpretive certainty that comes with reading an image with a digital scanner. The title of these works can literally be read with a hand scanner. For example, if you scan this one, it will tell you the title, which is Sudafed. Other large-scale striped works combine historical masterpieces with barcode-like stripes to create a clash of cultural codes that highlight a historic work's context within our current culture's digital atmosphere. In another set of paintings inspired by the ideas of Charles Saunders Peirce, an early 20th century philosopher, I examined the way watercolor and ink can both iconically depict landscapes, trees, and space, and indexically record my touch and the properties of the medium. Taking advantage of the spontaneous and unpredictable qualities of flowing ink into damp paper, these watercolors work like self-directed Rorschach tests that probe my memory for deeply internalized imagery. These works begin by saturating sets of tiny rectangles with washes of color. I then drag a brush loaded with ink across the bottom of each space. The bleeding of the ink and the capillary action of the watercolor paper flow into images that time and again seem to recall the Midwestern landscape. At times I wonder if I had been raised somewhere else, if perhaps it would flow into mountains or perhaps other shapes. On a much larger scale, I've used similar orchestrations of paintings as an exploration of my memory. This 11 by 23 foot installation is comprised of 47 painted canvases displayed in a 19th century salon-style hanging. This single artwork presents a collection of paintings which, in varying degrees, slowly reveal images that have been sanded away, repeatedly varnished, or hidden by subsequent layers of pigment. Together they form a library of fleeting, distantly remembered incidents and experiences. In yet other paintings, I have looked to Eastern methods for gaining wisdom. In some Buddhist traditions, there is a belief that enlightenment can be reached through repetitive chanting, or daimoku. In this painting, one of a large series of daimoku paintings, I've painted small dabs of white paint each time I chanted a Buddhist phrase as an index to the repetitive act of painting to seek enlightenment. These dots were placed over a painting from my memory of my childhood landscape. The final work overlaps an image from my distant memory with the disciplined practice of affirming this present moment, a record of each breath and of each chanted phrase. In the past several years, I've ventured into the realm of ceramic sculpture. These new works are made of heterogeneous clay elements, wheel-thrown vessels, domestic items, playful representations of animals, kitsch and tchotchkes that are piled together into interlocking sculptural forms. In each, the layered and fragmented components metaphorically recall the countless experiences, ambitions, failures, and questionable thoughts that coalesce to constitute my sense of self. Together, they build a structure shaped by gravity, chance, and the nature of the material, revealing contingent relationships, unexpected pairings, and the echoes of buried past creations. In many, a single sculpted element rises to the top of the work, a dove, an owl, a sleeping piglet, and others. These suggest a current conscious moment of confidence that stands content atop a heap of deceased sculptural relatives. In others, a functional vessel or element completes the work, providing an opportunity to drink a ceremonial toast or to light a candle while reflecting on our complex personal journeys, affirming this moment while committing to future ambitions. Even though this investigation of epistemological concerns has inspired artworks that span an enormous visual range, they are all deeply committed to creating experiences that are visually entertaining. All of these works share a common sensitivity to touch, to surface, and a commitment to the gestalt of the image. Although each of these works offers a challenge to being read, their various tactile qualities suggest a world worth experiencing that celebrates the perplexities of trying to know our culture and ourselves. Thank you.